are the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws.
That was Governor Tim Walz earlier tonight, referencing his strong record on passing gun safety laws in his state. That's just one of the reasons Walz is being called a Gen Z ally, along with his success passing abortion protections and legalizing marijuana and many other things too. Maxwell Frost, the first member of Gen Z elected to Congress, had this to say about the pick. Tim Walz knows what it means to show the people that government can work for them. Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost joins me now. Great to see you. His evolution here, and I thought of you as I read more about this. He had an A rating with the NRA. A lot of things happened, including the Parkland shooting. And after that, he had a conversation with his daughter. He basically said, enough is enough. I know, obviously, the Parkland shooting was so impactful on your life. I was wondering how you think about that part of Tim Walz's story.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the question, Jen. And, the thing that gives me so much comfort in hearing his story is the fact that there are so many Americans who have the same story. There are so many people out there who are now voting for Democrats up and down the ballot. They are gun owners. They are people who have guns. They are people who saw shootings happen and heard from their kids and believed we have to do something about it. But for far too long didn't vote for the right people because the NRA and leaders told them it wasn't the right thing to do, that it was against their values and against their beliefs. But Tim Walz is showing us that that is a load of BS, right? That is that is a complete lie sold to us from the NRA, that you can be a gun owner, you can be someone who comes from gun culture and still believe in common sense gun reform. And here's the thing. The numbers prove it. Most Americans, over 90% of Americans, are for universal background checks. Most Republicans are for universal background checks. Most NRA members are for universal background checks. And so he represents people who have that same story, but here's the best part. He also represents what people can be. And right now, as we speak, there are tons of Americans, gun-owning Americans, who, again, want to make that decision to pull that lever to fill in that bubble for Kamala Harris and for Tim Walz because they want to save lives, but they've been told it's the wrong thing to do. And what we want to tell people is exactly what Tim Walz saw. The NRA is not for everyday gun owners. They're for everyday gun manufacturers. They're not an advocacy group for gun owners. They are a lobbying front for the gun lobby to make more money, no matter how many people are killed. And that's something that Tim Walz understood and came to the realization of after the Parkland shooting and after his own daughter came to him and said, we got to do something about this. And not only did he, of course, rescind that NRA endorsement and donate all the money he received from the NRA to charities and nonprofits, but he went and did something about it. Passed red flag laws in the state of Minnesota and fought to pass much more legislation around gun violence, and he's going to do the same as Vice President of the United States.
I love how you described. I mean, first of all, I think evolution on issues like is a sign of leadership. It's not a sign of weakness. And I think that's such an important way people should talk about it. We don't have that much time left, unfortunately. I could talk to you for hours. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, Walz has multiple positions. I listed some of them that are popular with young voters. He's kind of a little bit of a phenom on TikTok. What do you think he should lean into on the campaign trail that's going to keep the momentum going and sort of the excitement that we're seeing from a lot of people, but including members of your generation?
I'd say two really important things. Number one, his authenticity. This is one of the most authentic tickets I think we've ever seen in U.S. politics. It's part of the reason why the vice president has blown up so much on TikTok, and the same thing with Governor Walz. They're authentic. They're real people. And I think this generation especially is done with people who, to be quite frank, feel like they've been made it in a laboratory to become a politician. They just want humans. They want people just like them to run. And these two represent that. But the second thing that I think is really important, and I said this in my tweet, is that Governor Walz has shown what it means to show people that government can work for them. That when you vote for someone, you get something out of it. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. With a very slim majority, keep in mind, the Republicans have a slim majority in Congress. They've done zip. With a very slim majority, Governor Walz has gotten free universal school lunch for all kids, feeding all of our children, making sure they're not going hungry in schools. He's passed red flag laws. He's passed protections for labor unions. He's passed record money for transit and affordable housing. And he showed people that when you vote, when we win, we actually get something for our communities. And I think that, honestly, Jen, is one of the most important things and one of the reasons I'm really excited for him as a pick. There were so many good people on the short list, but Governor Walz has shown his people what government can do.
No
That's what we gotta
question
do.
about it. Such a good way to end the show. Thank you so much, Congressman Frost. Appreciate it. That's the show for tonight. Now it's time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell.